Good morning. Good morning, everybody. We are coming to you live on Facebook and YouTube from Congregation Beth Yeshurun. We have our weekly Wolbe on Chumash class every Thursday morning, 9:30 in the boardroom. Thank you for joining us. So, in this week's Parsha, we are Parsha Shemot, which is the first Parsha in the second book of the Torah, Exodus. And it's interesting, the name that's chosen for each Parsha usually depicts the essence of that Parsha. And in this week's Parsha we have Shemot. Shemot, anybody know what the word Shemot means? Shemot means, well, Shem means name, right? Shemot means names, plural, for names. And as we see at the beginning of the Parsha, the names of the Jewish people are listed again. And that's why this week's Parsha is called Parsha Shemot. But, of course, that's not the only reason. And we know that to just have names, right? Oh, there are some names mentioned, so we're going to call it the Parsha names. Now, the reason why is because the name is the essence. The name means an existence. The name means character. And, our sages give us a very, very interesting teaching in the Talmud, that anyone who gives a nickname to their friend has no portion of the world to come. Right? If you give a nickname to your friend, you have no portion of the world to come. Now, the question would be, why giving a nickname would have such a strange and severe punishment? Right? What's the big deal? I gave someone a nickname. Hey, Shorty. Right? I call them a nickname. What's the big deal? Our sages tell us because the name is the essence of the person. And you're taking away their essence by giving them a new name. Now, it doesn't, don't take this, so harshly. You can call your children loving names and you can call them, right? But, and they can even get people have some endearing names that they give for people. Fine. We're talking about here when you give someone a different name that's really not even associated with their character, that doesn't, So, or especially when it's disparaging, especially when it's not a respectful and honorable name that you call someone. So it's a very serious thing that when someone has a name, the name identifies who they are. I have a book at home that gives the character of people by their name. So you tell them your name is Miriam, right? Boom. It'll tell you everything about the character of that person. And I'm sure people, two people, their name is David, and so they have identical personalities. Not exact, obviously, everyone's unique, but very similar. Very similar, right? That's because the name holds something on the person. It defines the person. The Jewish people, that it says that God God counts the stars and the moon, or the stars and the galaxies, and He gives them names. He gives them names. Every star has a name. You can also go to starregistry.com and buy your own name, right? But Hashem has a name. The Almighty gives a name to every star. Why? Because it means it exists. It lasts forever. The Jewish people here are being the hint that's being given to us in Parshat Shemot is that the Jewish people not only have a name, but they will exist forever, just like the stars, just like the sun and the moon, who have names by God because to identify their existence. So too the Jewish people have names. And that will be the proof of their continued everlasting existence. But there's one other point that I want to mention here. Does anybody know to what merit we merited to leave Egypt? There were three great things that the Jewish people did while they were in Egypt that really gave them the zechut, the merit of getting out of Egypt. 210 years in slavery. There's no nation on earth that survived what the Jewish people survived, or what the Jewish people went through, and stayed a nation. There's no people in the history. You put them in exile, you disperse them, you change their languages, and they're gone. And yet we see that the Jewish people survive. And more than just survive, they thrive. How is that possible? So the Torah tells us there were three things that the Jewish people did not change. They didn't change their clothes, right? They still identified themselves by what they wore as Jews. They didn't change their language, right? The Hebrew language, or the Torah language, was the one that they maintained, even though they may have spoken Egyptian or whatever language they were speaking at that time in Egypt, right? Even though they may have spoken French or English or Spanish or any of the other languages, wherever the Jewish people were, we have to always maintain our Jewish language. And the last one is they didn't change their name. The Jewish people kept their names. They didn't become suddenly, different names that sort of camouflaged them into society. Because what happened was, historically, when the Jewish people did that, they actually became camouflaged and disappeared. When the Jewish people stood out, my name is Moshe, my name is Yaakov, my name is Chaim, my name is David, my name is, Raphael. These are names, they're Jewish names, that when we maintain those names, we maintain our identity as Jews. Right? So the name means a tremendous amount in Judaism. We don't just, randomly select names. We give names after people. When a baby is born, we give a name after someone who was a special person, after someone who had kind, beautiful traits. We give names after people who are holy people, righteous people, because a name means so much. And we want our little children's names to be associated with people who are great, so that hopefully that adds a blessing, and it adds an element of holiness to them. So, names are so important. Names are so important that they be properly representing the people we're speaking to, the people we're talking about. And a name is dignity. You know the sweetest sound to a person's ear?
Their name.
Right? Their name. The sweetest sound. Call someone by their name. It's something that I try to do very frequently with my children, almost on a regular basis. Using their name. It's not just thank you, but it's thank you, Susan. Right? Use the name. People love to hear their name. And what I love to see is when my children between themselves talk to each other and use their names as well. Right? A name is a very powerful thing. It's more powerful than we consciously realize. Right? We don't realize how important it is. But we feel great when someone calls our name. It gives us a feeling of of wholesomeness, of completion, of fulfillment.
It's more personal.
It's personal.
So that has more meaning.
So that's this week's Parsha. It's Shemot. We're not only recognizing who was alive at that time, because look, we did a counting 2 Parshas ago in Vayigash. We did a counting of the 70 children, the 70 Jews who descended to Egypt. We see twice earlier in Bereshit, we spoke about all the people who were then alive. And we're going to do many more countings. What's the idea? Why do we have now Shemot? Again, we're going to start again. We're going to count the people again. It's that, again, names mean something. And especially with the Jewish people, their names, especially when we maintain those names, means our continued existence forever. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue with our regular class. Those of you on Facebook, we're going to sign off here. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you liked our class, please like it and share it on your Facebook page. Have a fantastic day. Join us here live every week, 9:30 at Congregation Beth Yeshurun, and or at the other classes. You can see a whole listing at torchweb.org. Have a fantastic day and a good Shabbos, everybody.